What's good, Detroit Sports Nation? I am Eric Vincent, your host here at the DSN News Desk. Thank you for being here. We appreciate your time and support. Before we get deep into this Piston recap, which I'm so excited to talk about, I got to get two apologies quick out the way. First of all, anybody who's been listening while this has been sounding terrible, it has been popping and peaking and sounding horrendous. If you still listened and efforted through that and supported these videos, I greatly appreciate you. I think we got the problem finally solved, so we don't have to torture your ears with this bad microphone. So thank you guys for pushing and efforting through that. I really appreciate you guys. And I want to apologize for the timing of this video as well. You know, normally when the Pistons play, I like to get the recaps out right away, but these West Coast road trips are not easy to get through. I'm telling you, man, it's a little bit of a challenge for us, but we do what we can, and I had to get over here and talk about it. No matter when it was, I wanted to record and talk about this game because, man, whatever it is about the Golden State Warriors, especially over the past few years, the Pistons put their absolute best foot forward against this team. And now this season, sweeping them, getting 2 victories against the Golden State Warriors, including last night's victory on the road in ultimate dramatic fashion, is all worth it. And I'm so proud of what the Pistons did, man. Let's unpack what happened last night. 122-119 final score finish. Pistons getting their 11th victory of the season. And again, it came in unbelievably dramatic fashion, man. It was absolute nuts, going back and forth. Pistons taking care of a lead for basically about 3.5 quarters. Then the fourth quarter came and things got a little tight. And, you know, the Warriors were clamping down, making big shots. And Klay Thompson with a huge three-pointer at the end of the fourth quarter where I thought we were going to have to watch more overtime. I was going to have to stay up later and, you know, delay my ability to get to work and all this other stuff. I was annoyed and I was sick. I'm like, oh my God, now we got to deal with this overtime, 5 more minutes. Can't hang in. But we did it. And you know why? Because Saddiq Bey, with the biggest shot of the season, one of the biggest shots of his career, knocking down a huge 3 to put the Warriors down to wrap this game up 122-119. I can't be more proud of what I saw, man. It was really cool, especially for Saddiq, who needed a game like this. You know, he finished with 17 points, 6 of 17 off the bench, 4 of 10 from 3, still playing his 6-man role, and hopefully this is the Saddiq that we're going to get continuously, because if you have the Pistons in their best form, your bench would be basically looking like Killian Hayes coming off of it, who made his return after his suspension last night. You would have Killian Hayes coming off the bench with the 2 scores of Saddiq Bey and Alec Burks, who have been tremendous bench scorers. Well, Burks has been. Bey is still trying to get comfortable. But they've been very, very productive when they're at their best. And when you have Saddiq pouring in 17 and 15 from Alec Burks, and of course when it's the game winner for Saddiq, it puts him in a different mindset. And hopefully this is the mindset we see. I mean, he did a lot of driving, did a lot of good plays at the rim, did a good job of getting in the lane and finishing at the hoop. But the biggest shots came from behind the log line. I'm okay with Saddiq trying to expand his game. But again, as we've been saying all season, I don't want it to be the detriment or the substitute for his three-pointer, because that was his biggest attribute coming out as a rookie. Shooting as well as he did coming out of the draft, it's downslid a lot since, and that needs to get back into continuation because the Pistons don't have a lot of reliable, consistent shooters. I mean, their best off the bench was supposed to be Isaiah Livers. He's hurt all the time. Alec Burks is getting more comfortable. He's, a very efficient scorer. But you need more than just him. You can't have everything lean on Alec Burks with your bench scoring. So to see Saddiq Bey come in, hit huge shots, have some huge shots on the perimeter come through, and serve to this Piston victory is phenomenal. I'm so happy to see what Saddiq did last night. For the rest of the Pistons, man, you gotta be proud of what the rest of the team did, man. I mean, Bogey with 29 points, 10 of 15 from the field, 5 of 6 from 3. He kind of has been, coming and going with his shot lately, but he's finally had a good game over the past couple weeks. And, these are the kind of games that we want to be on his highlight tape. Because, again, I still believe his best valued attribute is going to be served if he's traded. I don't think the Pistons are going to keep Bojan long term. I could be wrong. He's a good player. I just don't think he's going to be here long term for this team based on how he plays and based on the value that he could bring back in a trade. Because according to reports, it looks like the Pistons are asking for a first rounder and a player with upside to deal for Bojan in exchange. Excuse me. And I'm okay with that. Again, as long as it comes with a first rounder and somebody else that you can plug in, that's good enough value, especially if you're sending him to a contender who thinks that they're one piece away from a championship. So I'm totally fine with that. Awesome game by Bojan. It was much needed. My favorite player, Jalen Duren. Oh, what a monster this guy is and how unbelievably fun he is to watch, man. But you know what? I can go through all the numbers. Let's do the numbers real quick. In 31 minutes, 18 points. 8 of 8 for the field. Did not miss. 2 of 3 from the free throw line. 11 rebounds. Unbelievable defense inside the paint. Switching outside, guarding a Jordan Poole. Getting better in drop coverage. You're seeing a lot of change from Jalen Duren. But to me, the most important thing that I saw from him had nothing to do with, his play on the court. This is something that I love to watch. Anybody who saw Beef Stew get tangled up with Draymond Green late in the fourth quarter. Draymond pulls Beef Stew's jersey and they're pushing back and forth. It ends up in Draymond getting suspended or ejected, And I think Isaiah Stewart got teched up because of their back and forth. And I'm okay with that. But this is the part that I love. And this is the part that is not being talked about enough in terms of what Jalen Duren is bringing, in terms of what his expectation was this season to start. The mix-up starts between those two players, and Jalen Duren is the first player on the bench, because be clear, he's not playing at this point during this scuffle. He's on the bench. He is the first person to stand up on the bench and make sure no other Piston runs on the floor. That is unbelievable maturity and responsibility from the youngest player, not just on your team, in the entire NBA. His maturity, his mindset is just so different, man. I'm telling you, I'm upset for how much, blasphemy that he had to listen to this offseason, where people just saying he should be in the G League. He's not even ready to be a rotational player. He's not going to serve well with this team yet. It's going to take a couple of years. What were y'all looking at, man? I can't stop talking about this because everything that I thought he was going to be is exactly what we're seeing. And now, for him to take on leadership responsibilities to make sure his teammates don't put themselves in positions to get in trouble, to put the team in further harm with dumb decisions like getting on the floor or doing anything stupid, he is stepping up and doing that. You saw it during the Summer League when he was sitting there talking to the players around him, telling them when to cut, telling them how their defense is going to roll. Him being one of the more vocal players on the floor has translated easily in the regular season. And again, he's the youngest player in the league. He's a baby. Being a grown man, whether it's how he dunks on everybody, because he's catching a lot of lobs and getting a lot of easy putbacks and dunks from Killian Hayes when he's setting him up with assists, with easy misses. He is controlling all of that. And I'm loving that. I even think we'll get to a point where tip-backs will become a stat because of how unbelievable productive he's been. If he's not grabbing the rebound, he's tipping it back to his teammates to create extra opportunities on the offensive end. He has been spectacular with everything. I'm sticking to my take. He is the second most important Piston on this lineup right now. And I will stand by that for sure. Another important piece that I wanted to talk about before we wrap this up, the backcourt. We got to talk about the backcourt for a number of reasons. Killian Hayes, this is his first game back from his suspension after slugging Wagner of the Magic. A decent game by Killian. Not so much in scoring. Only scored 9 points, but 13 assists to no turnovers. And I'm going to tell you why that's so important. Let's get into the other part of the backcourt. Jaden Ivey, 12 points. Wasn't super impressive with his scoring. Had an awesome dunk. Had a couple nice blow-bys. A three-pointer that was nice in the fourth quarter. 5 of 14 from the field, 1 of 4 from 3, 1 of 4 from the free throw line, which is kind of bothering me, which how he started off so well with his free throws, but he's kind of teetering down a little bit now. But again, none of that's the point. It's the turnovers I want to talk about, because people have been on Jaden Ivey's behind about his, ball security, his turnovers, his high volume turnovers. I have not worried about that at all. I'm not concerned about that in the slightest. I do not care about the number of turnovers that Jaden Ivey is bringing. I do not care about the sloppy play that he's bringing, because he's doing that with the primary responsibility of being the number 1 ball handler on this team, which is not why you drafted him. That's not why he's here. And when you had Killian Hayes out of the lineup and he had to be the focal point with the ball, he was all over the place. And that's not why he's here. He's brought here to be a bucket getter. He can be a passer. You see him, throwing lobs to Jalen Duren and doing a really good job of driving into the lane, drawing attention his way, and then kicking it out to Bojan or kicking it out to B. Stu in the corner or finding Saddiq Bey on the wing for an open 3. He's been good at that. And I'm not tripping about his turnovers, because the main facilitators and orchestrators that you have on your team were either suspended in Killian or injured in Cade Cunningham. And what have we seen? When Cade is on the floor with Jaden Ivey, that's when Jaden Ivey's at his best, because he can play make around him with no worry of being the primary ball handler, and he can still do his thing as a bucket getter as well to take pressure off Cade and the rest of the offense. And Cade being your primary ball handler in fourth quarters, really the whole game, with Cade or Killian as your main ball handler, you see that responsibility elevated away from Jaden Ivey, and you see how productive he can be. And seeing the no turnovers under his stat box from last night is super, super impressive for me. He also got 6 rebounds and 5 assists in the process. So you got 18 assists between your backcourt with no turnovers, because you had your primary ball handler back. And that's only going to serve better. Like, people have been dogging on Jaden Ivey. People have been dogging on Jaden Ivey ever since Cade Cunningham went down. And I'm kind of sick of hearing about it, because Jaden Ivey has been good this season. When extra responsibility is elevated on his plate, he hasn't been great at it. But in the long term, that's not what you're going to be expecting of him. Be a bucket getter. Go dunk on the defense, draw attention away from your teammates to kick out shots on the perimeter or in the paint. That's what he's good at. He's not supposed to be setting the offense every single time coming down the floor. That's why you see him not closing fourth quarters. That's why you see Alec Burks getting more minutes than him. He got 30 minutes compared to Jaden Ivey's 27, and we didn't see a whole lot of him in the fourth quarter. They were leaning on Saddiq Bey. They were leaning on Burks. They were leaning on Killian. They didn't have Jaden Ivey in there. So with that being the formula of this team, that's going to help establish their identity of how they should be playing. So everybody that's freaking out about Jaden Ivey's turnovers, relax. That's not his game. That's not what he's been put on this team to do. He's a bucket getter. He's an exciting player. He's an exciting playmaker. And the guys that you have in front of him with Killian and Cade, when he returns, will take on that mantle and take that responsibility off of him. And I think that's what serves 2 games like this in which you get victories. So the Pistons should be very happy with what they did last night, man. Awesome victory. Again, I don't know what it is about playing the Warriors, but they put their best foot forward every single time they see them. And to sweep them in 2 games this season in dramatic fashion, super excited to see, man. I was loving it. Talk to me in the comment section, though. I'd love to hear from you. What were your thoughts on the game last night? What were you encouraged by? What were you discouraged by? Maybe there was something you didn't like about the game last night. Talk to me. I'd love to hear from you. Make sure you like the video as well and subscribe to the channel as well as we ramp up and continue to grow and get closer to 6,000 subscribers. Help us make that milestone happen with your support. We would greatly appreciate it. Make sure you tap in on our social media as well. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, all of the above. Search and follow Detroit Sports Nation and tap in with yours truly as well at I Am Eric Vincent. Thank you guys again so much. I appreciate rapping with y'all every time that I can. I'll be back again soon right here with another update right here from the DSN News Desk. Peace.